Hi there. Just thought I would do the video on your one small step to starting your family tree. So hopefully you've got the information written down in your pad, and I suggest you keep your pad close by in case you want to be writing other things down. Okay, so the first step to do is to get on a Google search page or whatever browser search you use. As you can see, I use Google. Type in family tree and what you're looking for is a site called Family Search, and if you look there, that's the one, the world's largest online family tree, Family Search, and the address is familysearch.org. Okay, you go on to that and up comes the page that says build a family tree. So from there you need to go to the top right at the top of the screen where it says create the account and create account. And as you can see, you have various options for creating your account. You can continue with Facebook, Google, Apple. Or if you're a member of the Church of the Latter-day Saints, you can continue with your church account. Okay, so it's up to you how you start. However, I don't use none of those because I'm always a bit wary about all these sites sharing information. So I always create a username and a password. And there it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an account for an auntie of mine, because I know she won't have an account. So the first thing you do is type in the first name, and if you have a second name, third name, fourth name or whatever, you type them all in. Last name, now in the last name you always type in, or you always give, your maiden name. Now the reason for giving a maiden name is if you type in your married name, when it comes to do any searching on this site, it's not going to find you. It'll find somebody with your name, but it won't be you, because that's not your last name. Your last name is your maiden name, and I suggest every person you put into the tree, you use the maiden name always. Okay, so next thing is to put in your date of birth. Now the date of birth, you can't lie on it because it's going to be pointless if you lie on it. You know, you can't knock 20 years off your age because it ain't going to work. And you'll have to forgive me because I have to read from my list. And then we're going to create a username. Now I'm going to create Nancy because that's a name. So if you put in a name that's already used, it'll tell you there, look, that username is taken. So you need to try another one. Now I'm going to put Nancy 1931 because that's when she was born. So I know who she is. Then create the password. Now, if you're a Google member, you'll know that Google gives you the option of using a strong password. I always take that because it will remember it and it will follow you about. So if later on you log in with your phone, you've got the password because it follows you about. It's in your Google account. So I'll use a strong password, and then I need to enter an email address for Nancy. So as you can see there, I've got one called workwithpaul@outlook.com. That's what I'm going to use. And the reason I use that account is because that's my spam account. So, you know, if I sign up for any stations anywhere or sites or whatever, I always use my spam account, because then I'm not getting inundated with notifications and God knows what into my normal account. So if you don't have a spam account, you're going to have to use your normal account, or just go into Google and create a new account, and away you go from there. So it's workwithpaul@outlook.com, and then the next one is the bottom box. Don't click either of the other two boxes. You know, you don't want to be sending messages and God knows what to you, and you won't have any Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints membership information. Okay, and then it's a case of clicking done. So next you have to verify your email. So I'm just going to pause this for a moment while I go in and verify this email. So hopefully that's going to carry on. So I'll just refresh the screen just to see. No. Okay. Why hasn't that worked? No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the sign-in box. I don't know why that hasn't worked, because it's just worked on my phone. And this time I'm going to put sign in. And I'm there, Nancy, sign in. Okay, so I've registered my email address, and as you can see, it's given me an account. My account is Nancy92536, top right there. So let's go to build the tree. Begin with yourself. Now, just remember, I'm not me, I'm Nancy. Only at weekends though. 29th of September 1931. That's the one. Approximate birthplace. Well, I'm going to put Bridlington. And as you can see, as soon as you type in where you were living, it comes up with suggestions. Now, I'm not going to put the first one because it says 1974 to present. I'm not going to put the next one because that says 1996 to 2002. I'm going to put this one, 1801 to 1974, because that's within the range. Okay, and then it's a next. So I'll add the mother later, and I'll add the father later, and I'll add the maternals later, and go to the family tree. So there's the tree. Now, if I click on, it's got her as living, and she's not living, she's dead. So if I go back in to her, the person view, which is that one. Okay. Bloody phone. Get away with you. Sling your hook. That's it. Sorry about that. So I'm going to put her death in because I've created the account. Automatically it thinks that I'm alive, but this person is dead. Okay, so I don't know if it's going to cause a problem, but we'll see. So she died 7th of January 2019. And again, she didn't die in Bridlington, she died in Hornsey. And again, if you look, it comes up with suggestions. And I can put that one because that's within the date range. And save. Mark as deceased. Oh, okay. I can't. Now that's where we get a problem, okay? Because I've started off with somebody who is actually dead, and it's not going to let me because it thinks, how can a dead person set up an account? So what I'll do is I'll had, where they get had from, I'll add a parent. Okay, so her mother was called Ethel and her maiden name was Noddle. Female, deceased, but I can't remember her birth date, but I know where she was born, Bridlington. It's awful that, isn't it? I don't know where her birthday. And she died in Bridlington. Excuse me. No. 19, so she was going to be born in 1800, so I put 1890 there. It's always better to put in a date because hopefully it'll find her. 1890, and I'll put in there 1949. Next. And there you go. So I've put Ethel Noddle, which is her mother's name, and it's come up with suggestions. Now, the one it's come up with there, Ethel Noddle, up on the right hand side, well, that is the person. So I just click to add the match. I don't create a new person because this is her. So I add the match. And I'll select the couple because I know that that's her father. Now, if you see straight away, I put Nancy in, okay, and straight away it's come up with her siblings. Now, it's also come up with the one I've just put in, okay. So, because this person and this person are the same persons, I can add that to that. I can add Nancy Hughes G348WL7 to Nancy Hughes GRNG-TKC. And if I go to, I'll just write that down. As I say, you need a pen, so I'm going to write down this number. Okay. G348 WL7. Now that's copied that ID anyway. So okay, now if you look, we're in the person Nancy Hughes who I've just created, and there's already one created. So if I go to merge and put in the one that's just copied and continue, okay, I can't do it because, again, it's because I'm the person who set the account up and it thinks I'm alive, so it can't put them together, so we'll forget that one. Okay, right, so we're in the person's page. Now if you click on at the top view tree, and there you go, as you can see the tree's been filled in, so all the information for Nancy's father and mother are there. Okay, now where you see gaps, well, that's because I haven't actually managed to find this person's wife yet. And again up here, Isabella Bowser. Well, Isabella Bowser doesn't have a spouse for Anne Elizabeth Bowser because Anne Elizabeth was born out of wedlock. You know, so I can't put a father in there because there's none listed. All Anne Elizabeth's information is listed in different places, but there's not a mention of a father anywhere. Okay, so as you can see from there, you've got a start to your tree. Now, like I say, I've just created a Nancy Hughes, who was my auntie, and it brought back those things. So the more information you can put in as yourself, you know, so if you know what your, well, presumably you'll know what your mother and father were called, and hopefully you might know your grandparents, and you never know, you might even know your great-grandparents, but you will probably know uncles and aunties, which can be added into the various persons. So if we go to Amelia Noddle and go to that person, and if you look here, okay, Amelia Noddle had a little bit of a fancy life, if that's the right word to use. Okay, because she was born out of wedlock as well. However, Anne Elizabeth put on her birth certificate that Robert was the father, so you have to take that as it is, really. And Amelia, who is my, let me just think what she is, my great grandmother. Okay, so Amelia Noddle is my great grandmother, and if you look down here, because Amelia Noddle had her first child, or her first two children, were born out of wedlock. However, DNA has proved that this person here, Charles Bentley, is the father of this person, Ethel. Okay, so Amelia's the mother of Ethel. Now, all Ethel's records, none of them state who the father is anywhere. The only way I've got this information of Charles Bentley is because of DNA. Okay. So, click on Ethel, go to person, and you can see Ethel's information that's in there. And as you can see, Ethel married Henry, and they had Nancy. Okay. But she also had Elsie, Ronald, Constance, Winifred, Thomas and Alan. Now, Constance is my mother, so, you know, this tree is going to be fairly well filled in. And hopefully, if you've got enough information, yours will be fairly well filled in. So I wouldn't worry too much about searching for things and you know, just get the information in. Go into each person, okay, and make sure that the information you put in is correct. Okay, so, you know, you go into, pretend this one is your mother, you go into your mother and you make sure all the information that's in there is correct. If you know the christening, add the christening. If you know where they're buried, add the burials. You know, so I've added a baptism there for Ethel, and because I couldn't find the source, I put it in manually. However, you can always search for people or for documents or whatever. This site is really good on pulling in facts and stuff. So if you look on the where it says here, top right here or middle right, whichever it is you're looking at, you've got search records. Now family search is free. Okay, so you click on family search, that's free. Click on ancestry, that's not free. Find my past is not free. My heritage is not free. GeneaNet is free. I can't even pronounce that word, but Philae is free. Now there is a few other sites, and at a later date I'll point you in the directions of the free sites so that you can you know, you can check up on things fairly easy. So hopefully from that you will get into the flow of things. Now if you look here on Ethel Noddle, if you look here, now I'm just remember that I'm Nancy on this, okay? So if I click on view relationship for me as Nancy and Ethel Noddle, it says she's my mother and he's my father. Okay? But if I go further up, if I go onto the view of the tree and go back a few generations, let's have a look. Anne Elizabeth Bowser, let's follow this Bowser's line up. And we'll go to Richard Spruce. Okay, click on person, view relationship. And there's the relationship between me, which is Nancy, and Richard Spruce. Okay? So, mother, grandmother, great-grandfather, great-great-grandmother, great-great-great-grandfather. Okay? And that's the great-great-great-grandmother. So you can get, you know, you can get quite a lot of information just by going in and looking around the person itself. Now, as you can see from here, it's got little tags at the bottom. Not on all of them. Not on all of them. Okay, but where it's got a tag at the bottom, if you click on it, it'll tell you what that tag is. Now, there's some record hints for this one per Francis Spruce. There's records. There's 3 found. Okay, so you can go and have a look at those. So that's the blue one. This one, I think this one says you haven't got any information in or something like that. We'll see what that one says. Missing vital information. So this one has got no information attached that proves who she was. Okay? I knew who she was, but this computer doesn't. So there you go. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You can't go wrong on this. It's so easy, it's not real. Now, spend some time on it, and you know, don't be getting obsessed with it. That's the thing. Don't get obsessed with it. When I first started 20 odd years ago, really, I only started to see if there was any information on my father, because I'd never met my father. I just had a name and a year of birth. Mum hadn't said anything about him. My siblings hadn't mentioned him, even though my brothers all had the same father listed. So there was no information. So I thought, I'm going to have a look on this, you know, highfalutin thing that they call family history. And I created a tree. But I set myself an hour on a Sunday afternoon. That's all, you know, 1 hour on a Sunday afternoon. I got at my computer and went around looking at things. Now, you know, that's lasted 23, 24 or 25 years. I'm not quite sure exactly when I started, but it's lasted a long time. Now that I'm I was going to say divorce, but that's not the word I meant. Now that I'm out of employment, retired, I have a lot more time, you know, so I can sit at my computer all day long, mess about and look at things and search things and see what I can come up with. But, you know, take it from me, don't get obsessed. And the other thing to remember is, don't take it for granted that everything you see is fact, okay? Because I think I might have, you know, you might have got from mine that everything is not fact. Because if we come back to, is it this one? I've got to remember where it is now. If I click home, I should get back to myself. Okay, there you go. So you click that little home button there, top right, and you get back to yourself. Okay? Now, can't show you because it doesn't show me in this tree. It might do a bit later on, but it doesn't on this tree. Okay, but don't take everything as fact. Just because it says on your birth certificate that your father is Joe Bloggs and your mother is Mary Williams, well, that's the legal bit. It could be Joe Bloggs and Mary, but it might not be. You know, I'm not saying that it isn't, but don't take everything as read. So, and I was thinking of how to show you what I mean, and I can't think of a way to show you. But if you get a chance of looking at records, don't just take what the computer tells you. Look at the record physically, because there'll be a picture you can see. look at it and see that what the computer or the AI or whatever they use to pull the information out from that record is correct, because it's not always correct. You know, they'll get dates wrong, they might get a name wrong, excuse me, and once you put in wrong information, well, you just carry on with it. So if you get the chance to look at the record, look at it, make sure it's right, okay? And let me I'm just, as I'm talking, I'm trying to think of what I could show you to sources. If I go to sources and I look for 1939 census. It wasn't actually a census, it was because we went to war in 1939. Okay, I can't show you that one because it's on Find My Past. Okay, I can see it because I'm a member of Find My Past, but if you're not a member you can't see it. So let's see if we can go back and find one that will be 1913. Let's go to the marriage one. View. Okay, so this is my grandmother's marriage. Okay, and Ethel Noddle married 1909, Bridlington, and it says possible spouse Henry Milner Hughes. Well, it's not possible, it's a definite. And if I click on here, hopefully you'll see there isn't a picture. Well, that blew me out of the water, didn't it? Anyway, you'll get the idea. Try and view the pictures, because it's always better to read them, especially with the census. You know, you can see censuses right up to, I think, 1911. And you know, censuses are free to view, okay? So, and you can see, so you should be able to see a census from 1911 going all the way back, and as far as I can remember, on the, might be not exact, but the censuses go back to 1841. You know, so you've got a fair whack to look at, okay? So just go to your account in Family Search and just click around, see what you can find. Because you'll be amazed at what you can find, because quite a lot of people are already in this database. And hopefully you're going to fill out your tree. Now, as I say, make sure that all the information you've got on your piece of paper or your little booklet you've kept with writing down your info is inputted, you know. So you go to the person and you can add you know, so if we go to Nancy, okay, if I click on there, I can add a child for Nancy. Now I know she didn't have any, but I'm not gonna. And click on spouse. Now I do know she had a spouse, I know him, so I could click on that and add the spouse, and then that will do the same thing as you've just done with yourself, putting your own info in. And if he's out there in the big wide family tree, it'll find him. It might find 3 or 4 people, but you've got, with the same name and approximately the same date of birth, but you can pick and choose, so don't, just look at the things carefully before you commit it, okay? And I don't know what I can say. Let's see what these do, because it's been so long. Okay, Nancy Hughes. So I clicked on the About button of Nancy Hughes, and down here it gives you a timeline. She was born in 31. Now, it's slung in some historical records of its own to show you what her life basically was like. Now, it's also from her tree, it's pulled in her siblings and, the things that have happened in her life. Now, this one here, death of sibling. My auntie was 59 years old when my mother died. And if you keep going down, you'll find her mother died in 1949, I think. So if I go to 1940 something, it hasn't done. But anyway, so as you can see, you can look around. You can add photos and memories. You can write a little story. You can, the brief life and history of Nancy. Well, you can put your own in there. You can change this and put your own in. So, it's quite good at stuff like that. So, About gives you your info. Details gives you the person. Let's see what recents don't do nothing. Sources, well, that's, if you found a birth certificate, a marriage certificate or whatever, a census record, they will be in here under sources because it elaborate. Now, collaborate, okay, you can collaborate with other people. So if you've got, I don't know, a sibling who does the same thing as you're doing on this platform, you can collaborate together. So, she'll put information into hers, and you will see the information come up in yours. So you can collaborate. Memories, well, there's no memories because I haven't put any in. And then timeline. So that's her timeline, and it shows you where she was born. That's all it's going to show you because there's nothing in there that's going to show you anything. Let's go to my grandmother and see on her timeline, see what that comes up with. There you go. So this is my grandmother. So she was born in 1865. She was christened July 1865. Now, because it's a Church of Latter-day Saints, they call it baptism. Now, I'm Church of England and I call it christening. So you'll sometimes get a copy, like christening and baptism. They're both the same things. It's just the way it's worded. So her sister was born in 1868, one in 1870. Unfortunately, Jane lived 2 years and she died in 1872. She had a sister born in 1872. She had a brother born 1875. Another sister 1879, and her father died in 1889, and it tells you where he died. And her first child, which is my grandmother, was born in 1890. However, she met and married John Davison in 1891. Now, John Davison used to live on a farm a quarter of a mile away from where Ethel was a dairymaid on a different farm, but that's how they met. And then that's where they lived in 1891. And her and John had their children there. So let's see what else we've got. So one of her sisters died in 1907. In 1911, she was listed in the census, 1911 census, as living in Flamborough, which is just up the road from Bridlington, if anybody knows where it is. Her sister died in 28, and she died in, what's that say, 1934. Okay, so you can get quite a lot of info. So about is, that's a brief history, and I haven't filled any of this in. This is done from the computers, filled all these things. Now I don't bother with filling in these things because I have a little program that I archive all of my stuff into. It's a site that you can't search in or anything like that. It's just an archive, and so you can put into the archive, you know, all your photographs, because you can attach photographs to one person, and you can tag another person in it. So if there's two people in the photograph, you can tag them both, and when you come to look in your archive, you can see and click on one person. It'll show you there's another person as well listed with them. And let me just see if I can find. So this is a site I use. It's called weare.xyz or Z. Bloody hell, I'm sounding bloody American. Anyway, weare.xyz. Now there is a charge to this. However, in my opinion, it's well worth the money, because I think for a year it's £49, which, considering what you can do with it, is really, really good. And I can show you. So this is an archive for the royal families of Europe that this site has filled in. So as you can see, it's a welcome. So that's a welcome message from the site. And look at the tree. There's all the royalty in the tree. Now, if they're alive, you won't see. You know, you can't click on them. You won't see any information. It's only dead people you can see, unless you remember. So if I was royalty and say I was Lilibet Windsor, which thank God I'm not, but if I was this one, I could log into this site as that person, and I would see all the relevant details for that person all the way up. So all these people who were hidden would be able to be viewed, if that makes sense. So if as you can see, if you can see pictures of them, they're dead. If you can't see a picture, they're not dead, they're alive. So, and I don't know if I've got my tree on show. Let's see what this one is. Yeah, so there you go, look. This is my mother, and this is her tree. Okay, so as you can see, because I'm not logged in as me personally, I'm just logged in as Joe Blogs off the street. You can only see dead people. It's a bit like Bruce Willis, you know, he only saw dead people, didn't he, in that film? Well, this is the same. You only see dead people. However, if you use this as your archive, if we look, and let's see if we see it, documents. Let's have a look. So there's a document for the 1939 census for Peconi. Okay, and if I click on it, there's the census form, and it gives you where she lived, who was in the I don't know what you call it now, who was in the form. Okay, and if I go back, if I could remember how to go back. Anyway, so as you can see, Henry's in it, Constance is in it, Ethel, Ronald and Winifred, they're all in it. You can share that, you can do all sorts. The other good thing about this this site is it gives you a blog. You know, so you can create your own history and put it online for for people to see, or your own family to see. And that's one of mine. Paul's family, and it's my DNA journey part 1. I have 3 parts of this journey. Okay, and it shows you how I did my tree and how I came to the conclusions I've got regarding my tree. Now this is, you know, this isn't hidden, it's online. It's searchable anyway online. Don't know if anybody would ever find it, but it's searchable online. So you could read the story of how I became it gives information about my life and how I got to where I was within my life. So it's a good place to keep all the info, because in time you will find that you're using other sites to find information, and you'll get lost on, you know, where you're going to save it. I'm the worst person for saving things in the correct place. You know, so I'll create a folder on my PC saying, I don't know, Ancestry, and then 3 months later I'll think, where the hell did I save all that rubbish? And I can't find it, so I create another folder called something else, and I save all the info into that. So in the end, you know, I've got 20 years worth of folders on my PC that have got information in. Now, this site allows you to collate all your information, and you can upload all your photographs. Let's see if there's any photographs in. Yeah, so there's my mother's photographs. There won't be many, but there's a few. You know, so that was my mother. Quite good looking for her, and that's her later on in life. Good looking woman. Bit of a scallywag, but she was a good looking woman. So as you can see, you know, you can most sites that, you know, like your Ancestry sites, it'll save photographs, but you can't tag them with other people. So if, I don't know, if we look at this photograph, and as you can see from this photograph, that's my mother, that's my brother, okay? But if you look over here, those people there are all tagged here, okay? So if I went to Morris, let's see if it does it. I don't know why it's showing my mother's picture there, but it's got Morris in there. There he is. That's my brother. Okay. Now if I go to his, come on then, loady. As you can see, my PC is really slow, and I'm at the age where I'm not going to try and invest in a new one. So I just live with what I've got. I'll just refresh it just in case. Plus I've got a lot of things open as well, so that's not going to help. But there's my brother, and if I go to his media, and there's his media, and as you can see, that first photograph there is the one I showed you from my mother's, so it tags in with him, and that's his. He was a big pigeon fancier in his time. So as you can see, you know, you can put in as many photographs as you want. You can upload Huggins, and for your £49, you've got plenty of space, and you've got room to fill. I don't know if there's any occasions. Let's see. Can't see, because I'm not logged in as me. I'm not going to see all these buttons here, because basically they're private. It's not allowed. Even though he's dead, you're not going to see research and recollections, documents, occasions, artifacts, places, and fans. Okay? But if I was logged in, I'd see all those. So anyway, that's well worth £49 of anybody's money. The only thing is, you cannot search, you know, you can't search records or things like that with this site. It's just an archive, and I use it because I'm on about 12 sites, and of course I've got a tree in every site, and some sites will have more information than another site. So what I do is, when I've got a couple of hours spare, which isn't very often nowadays, but when I've got a couple of hours spare, I go in and take information from the various trees and bring it into my archive. Okay, so there you have it. It's all straightforward, all easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and hopefully you'll be able to go back a little bit and start on your family tree. Now I've called this one small step, and it is a small step because you'll be on it for a few weeks, you know, especially if you're only spending an hour a week, which is more than enough really, you know. Spend an hour a week. If you've got an hour spare, just spend it. Now that you've got the account on Family Search, if you've got a mobile and you go to Play Store, or if it's Apple, I don't think it's called Play Store, but whatever Apple calls it, if you go there and search for Family Search in the apps, they have an app. These, you know, Family Search have an app, and you can log into the app on your phone, and of course you can use your phone from then on, because not everybody has a PC, not everybody has a tablet or a laptop. But to start with, you really need to be on a PC or a laptop or a tablet. Now, if there's a library near you, you know, they let you use their PCs, and you could use one of their PCs and create your account through that. And away you go. I don't know what else to say, and I know I've been boring, but hopefully this gets you going. Okay, so it's TTFN, and see you again later.